Hello and welcome back to Learn the Bible in a Year. We are reading through the entire Bible in a year, and we recap our daily readings during the podcast every single day. Today in our Old Testament, we're in 2 Chronicles 31, 32, and 33. Following his sweeping Passover celebration, Hezekiah turns his attention to recognize worship at the temple. He restores the priestly and Levitical divisions David originally set up, assigning each group its rotation of duties: burnt offerings, thanksgiving offerings, guarding the gates, and leading worship. He then calls on the people of Jerusalem to give the priests and Levites their proper portions so they can devote themselves fully to God's law. The response is actually, and sort of surprisingly, overwhelming. Tithes of grain, wine, oil, honey, and livestock pour in from the third month all the way to the seventh, forming huge piles and have to be organized into heaps. Hezekiah has to order storerooms built in the temple just to hold it all, and the text notes that because the king did what was good, right, and faithful before God, he prospered in everything he did. That prosperity, however, is tested when Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, invades Judah and lays siege to its fortified cities, setting its sights on Jerusalem itself. His officers deliver a taunting speech, I guess you could think of it that way. He basically says that no nation's God has been able to protect them from the Assyrians, and there's basically nothing but despair. But rather than despair, Hezekiah and the prophet Isaiah cry out to heaven in prayer. And God responds decisively, sending an angel who strikes down the entire Assyrian army in their camp overnight, forcing Sennacherib to withdraw home in humiliation, where he is later assassinated by his own sons. That's kind of a rough go of it. And the narrative then turns dark when Hezekiah's son Manasseh, one of the most wicked kings in Judah's history, rebuilds pagan altars, practices sorcery, consults mediums, and even sacrifices his own son in a fire, going as far as to set up carved idols in God's own temple. God allows the Assyrians then to capture him and drag him in bronze shackles to Babylon. There, now that he's humbled, Manasseh finally seeks the Lord earnestly, and God hears his plea and restores him to his throne. He then spends his remaining years reversing course, tearing down the idols he had built and commanding Judah to serve God alone. All right, now jumping into the New Testament, we're in 2 Corinthians 1 and the beginning of 2. Paul defends a decision that had caused hurt feelings in Corinth. He promised a visit and then changed his plans. He clarifies that it wasn't fickleness, but actually mercy. He wanted to spare them another painful visit like the previous one that left both sides grieved. He explains that he doesn't want to lord it over their faith, but work alongside them for their own joy, and that a difficult, tearful letter he'd sent beforehand was meant to reveal the depth of his love, not cause needless pain. He then addresses a man in the congregation whose offense has disrupted the church. Rather than urging further discipline, Paul says the punishment already given by the majority is enough, and now the church needs to move forward in forgiveness and comfort so that the man isn't swallowed up by excessive sorrow. He urges them to reaffirm their love for him publicly, forgiving him as Paul himself does in the presence of Christ. So, in this case, Satan doesn't gain an advantage through unresolved bitterness, since believers, Paul notes, are not unaware of his schemes, meaning the devil's. All right, now let's finish up today by reading Proverbs 21, verses 5 through 16, and it goes like this. The plans of the diligent lead to profit, and surely as haste leads to poverty. A fortune made by a lying tongue is fleeting vapor and a deadly snare. The violence of the wicked will drag them away, for they refuse to do what is right. The way of the guilty is devious, but the conduct of the innocent is upright. Better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. The wicked crave evil, their neighbors get no mercy from them. When a mocker is punished, the simple gain wisdom. By paying attention to the wise, they get knowledge. The righteous one takes note of the house of the wicked and brings the wicked to ruin. Whoever shuts their ears to the cry of the poor will also cry out and not be answered. A gift given in secret soothes anger, and a bribe concealed in the cloak pacifies great wrath. When justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous, but terror to evildoers. Whoever stays from the path of prudence comes to rest in the company of the dead. All right. Well, that's it for today's episode, and I will see all of you cool cats again here tomorrow.